Yes, DJ Khaled, another one.
Did you hear that?
Slash.
There it is again.
The remains of the missing teens were found severed into pieces.
It's pretty wacky stuff.
It's like something out of a horror movie.
That's some scary shit, Bob.
Oh, scary shit indeed, Diana.
Well, hello, Mr. Slash.
What's up and welcome to the Slasha Brotha Podcast, the first episode of the Slasha Brotha Podcast. I'm your host, Rashard Cunningham, the brother who gushes for the good, the bad, and the most gory cinematic or streamed horror story. And today I'm finally sitting down after having so many first-time podcaster technical difficulties. I'm finally here talking about Scream. I actually did see Scream before it premiered on January 13th. It was a very fun audience. I went to a Universal City Walk and I went at night. It was a packed crowd. Everyone was super excited. I was honestly kind of hoping some people were dressed up as Ghostface, but unfortunately, no, none of the Scream 2 theater vibes. Unfortunately, for me, it was just it sucked the first time seeing it because I had to sit and take notes and I wanted to really enjoy the movie the first time, but when you're taking notes it kind of, takes away from the enjoyment. This is the first Scream anything that hasn't had to do with Wes Craven's name. He wasn't executive producer. Like, the only thing he got at the end of the movie was a tribute for Wes. This was the movie for him. It was a tribute to him because, Wes Craven has inspired so many different horror films, and the whodunit slasher craze of the 90s basically took off because of Scream, because everybody was trying to imitate what Scream had done, and all of a sudden it was like, yes, we all have to know the horror movie references and know what everybody is talking about.
You're the dumb blonde with the big tits. We'll have some fun with you before you die.
Scream 2 is actually what set the tone for the franchise, because without Stab being created, the movie within the movie, we wouldn't have all these other films that were based around the making of the Stab franchise. So it was really cool to see a Scream movie in theaters. Great audience, by the way. Special shout out to the couple who probably doesn't even remember they were sitting next to me, but the guy that was, taking notes with a bunch of white paper frantically while the movie was going, and then like gasping at some parts that just seemed so unnecessary. Yeah, that was me. So we open with Jenna Ortega, who I'm actually a big fan of. Jenna Ortega's cool. She seems like that type of actress that gets roles that are always like really cool, like staples, like, the roles you really want to have on your resume just for bragging rights. Like, she's about to be Wednesday Addams in a live adaptation of The Addams Family, which is super exciting. I'm actually dying to see that because it's been long overdue for The Addams Family, in my opinion. And she was also in The Babysitter 2. I didn't see the Babysitter movies just because it didn't really seem like my type of thing. I'm really hard on horror comedies. Now that I'm much older, I kind of like more, serious horror, I guess, is what we've kind of divulged into now. We're thinking about the themes, especially in movies that came from Jordan Peele, like Us and Get Out. There's more to analyze about human society, I guess. And this was not necessarily that. This was more of just going back to the basics of Scream, straightforward slasher. We have Jenna Ortega in her kitchen. She's texting her homegirl Amber, and she's telling her, oh yeah, the landline's going off the hook, da-da-da-da-da. She answers it.
Hello?
Hello?
Yes?
And the guy on the line, of course, we've got the infamous Ghostface voice, and the guy on the other line says his name is Charlie. I'm instantly thinking that this is a reference to Scream 4 because there was a character named Charlie, and there seems to be like 2 references to him, which seemed a bit... I didn't hate it because I don't hate the Culkins. I'm not against it. Roy Culkin was great in Scream 4.
That was awesome.
But it just seemed like there's too many references to his character. Like, we had like Charlie, we had the "It's an honor."
It's an honor.
I feel like they said that line more than they actually did, because I saw this movie twice. I saw it twice in theaters, and the first time I was taking notes, the second time I was actually just sitting there and actually got to enjoy it. But it's not the greatest Scream, because I feel like there were too many references abound. And I was honestly thinking to myself the entire time during the movie, I was like, I feel like they've just said it's an honor so much, and I feel like it's going to become a drinking game.
Drink every time someone shuts the refrigerator door, and oh my god, there's that harmless character right behind it.
We have the reference to Charlie from Scream 4, and then meanwhile Jenna's on the phone, and the guy is like, he's just talking to her, and of course Jenna's character Tara is immediately assuming, oh, it's my mom's new boyfriend, because apparently her mom is in rehab, or has been in rehab, or has some sort of alcohol issue.
She's fine. No, we're not going home. She's fine. You're fine.
She's not even sane. However, just based on the actresses, I will kind of put out, like, I honestly think the actress Marisol Nichols should definitely play their mom if they're going to make more sequels. But just looking at, Jenna Ortega and Melissa Barrera, I was like, I could see Marisol Nichols being their mom. Especially, that'd be cool too, because she played Donnie in Scream 2, which was Cece's sorority sister, who just pops out and she's like, oh, it's your ill-conceived boyfriend. And then Ghostface sneaks in through the back. She stays on the line, and she's just like, oh, so what else does my mom talk about me to all her rehab friends? The guy just explains, she's like, oh, well, nothing bad. She just, says you're really creative, and you're very smart, and you like movies. The second he says, and you like movies, I'm like, oh, shit. Like, here we go. Like, I was so strapped in from the beginning, because I just love the opening scenes of Scream, just because it's always going to be a random girl and her dude. Even though in Scream 4 it was two girls, ultimately. It's always just going to be two people. There's going to be this house with an absurd amount of windows where you can just see every bedroom, everywhere they're going, from the kitchen to the living. Like, there's nothing to the imagination. I love how that was done, not just in the first one, but they did that in the Scream the TV series with Nina's house. It was all large, and you could see into her bedroom, and there was just it was just too open, and it's just like, oh, like that feeling of being watched.
Why do you want to know my name?
I want to know who I'm looking at.
What did you say?
And you kind of sort of get a similar vibe with this one, but at the same time, it's not the same house, even though it's not the same house, because it's not the same Woodsboro. This town didn't feel like Woodsboro to me.
Big no-no!
Yeah, I get it, but it didn't hit. Even Scream 4, even though the movie had this weird color grade to it, it still felt like Woodsboro. It still felt like we were in the same town. It didn't feel like we departed from anything. It's trying to be the film, but it's not really there. I think maybe the reason we departed from the whole big house with the open windows thing is just because now that technology is more abound, I think people decided, oh, it's less scary to be seen, but it's more scary that people have your number, or they can clone a cell phone and contact you. Tara is talking to Charlie on the phone.
Would you like to play a game, Tara?
Tara likes the Babadook, and then Ghostface on the other line, he's just like, have you ever heard of the movie Stab? I really like this line just because he's like, you live in Woodsboro and you don't know Stab.
I've been going through a lot lately, Billy.
You live in a town where a sequence of 4 murder sprees happened. Dude, like, you have to know this franchise. We get like this sequence of horror movie trivia. She's got to answer questions.
What's your favorite scary movie?
I don't know.
It's, questions about the Stab franchise, which she really doesn't know. So she uses IMDb to cheat, because he asks who plays the dumb bitch who dies at the beginning of Stab. And I was literally in the theater just like whispering, Heather Graham, Heather Graham.
I don't even know you, and I dislike you already.
Like, this movie should have been like in your horror vocab, because stab is Scream to them, is, you know, what it is to us. So it's just kind of like, girl, like, know your stuff.
You don't know your you don't know your
The killer on the other line asks, okay, who was the killer in Stab? And of course she says Billy Loomis, and she's, you know, so confident. She's just like, yeah, I got it right.
Yes, bitch, because I am that.
There were two killers, Billy Loomis and Stu Macher.
You didn't say the magic word.
And I knew she was wrong, because I was just like, girl, he's gonna get you with that twofer, because he kind of did the same thing in the original with Friday the 13th.
Then you should know Jason's mother, Mrs. Voorhees, was the original killer. Jason didn't show up until the sequel.
So she gets the question wrong, but the thing is, the killer is threatening Amber, who's apparently outside her window. So she rushes off to go save Amber, because the killer is basically saying, get these questions wrong, I'll kill your bestie across the street. She runs to the front door, Ghostface is there, and that's when the whole terror ensues. And then she closes the door, but the thing is, there's security access locks on her phone, so she's locking the house up on the inside. Meanwhile, Ghostface is able to unlock everything from the outside. So there's this tense, like, lock, unlock, lock, unlock.
Doors unlocked. All doors locked.
And then all of a sudden, Ghostface calls and he's just like, quick question, do you think I had time to sneak into your house while I was unlocking the doors? I was actually afraid she was going to die in this opening scene. Even though I wouldn't have hated it, I was kind of hoping, like, no, you got to stick to it. Like, you got to kill her. Like, kill her and make it gruesome, and, you know, and then just be like, yeah, I was the girl who died at the beginning, and it's an honor.
It's an honor.
Because it kind of is. Being the opening kill in any Scream franchise is like, okay, like, you get to set the tone. So, and usually every girl that gets to be at the beginning is fun, and it's usually a good time. So Jenna gets attacked, and dude, Ghostface stomps on her freaking leg, breaks it in one stomp. That was hard. Ghostface is about to stab her, because he stabs her through the hand, and she's just terrified at this point. I would be too. It's too much. It's like the worst part of 3D. But somebody called the cops, and Ghostface goes for one final stab before he can leave, and then we get the title card, Scream. The problem with this opening after the title card, I was genuinely hoping that it was Outkast. At first, my hopes were so high that I was going to hear "I'm Sorry, Miss Jackson," and I was just like, ooh, really, DJ Cat? Like, and I don't even hate the song. I don't.
Definitely, I thought it was fun. I like the beat. So, yeah.
I think it's utterly hilarious that the news Scream and we get DJ Khaled. That's what we got. And the thing is, the song's not even new. It's old. So it's just kind of like, like that? Really? That's what we're opening with? Okay.
It's not just a new script, it's a new movie.
Of course, after the title card, we get introduced to Sam, our main character, played by Melissa Barrera, who is a regular, or was a regular, I guess, on the show Vita. I guess it's no longer airing anymore. But I saw a few episodes. I didn't hate it. It was just, you know, it wasn't like a show that I was willing to follow at the time. The character of Sam Carpenter, well, actually, I'm going to call her Sam Loomis through this podcast.
The blackest eyes, the devil's eyes.
Because we do get that she is Billy Loomis's daughter, because her mom had an affair with Billy Loomis while he was with Sydney. Like, I was hoping there was more going on with the Carpenter family. I just felt like it was kind of almost, it felt like fan service, you know, that it's just like, oh, we need the daughter of Billy Loomis. Like, it's just like, that's where we're going. I wasn't totally thrilled. It's funny because this movie is actually what Scream 3 was to everybody else, because I think Scream 3 is one of the more brilliant ones, not just for Parker Posey alone, stealing the show and just being iconic.
After all, Gale Weathers, you're such a complex character.
One, I genuinely think it was poking at Harvey Weinstein. I think that's definitely true.
We got you.
I think Scream 3 really holds up, especially today. But this one, it Scream 3'd me. It was like the Scream 3 knife that but everybody else is kind of like maybe not feeling. I felt that because I wanted to love this so much, but I don't love it enough. Sam's boyfriend Richie pops out. They work at the bowling alley together, I guess. Richie is played by Jack Quaid, who is Dennis Quaid's son. I was about to say Randy Quaid, but different Quaid.
Merry Christmas! Dinner was full!
My first introduction to Jack Quaid was through The Hunger Games, and he was playing the guy from District 1 who gets the spear from Katniss. Or not the spear, he gets the arrow from Katniss because he threw a spear into Rue. He pops up to Sam Loomis and he basically says that she is his boner pills. And she just looks at him like, no, it's cheesy. And of course I'm like, oh, that was lame. Boner pills, really? Sam gets a call, and it is from Dylan Minette's character, Wes Hicks. Wes is the son of Deputy Judy Hicks. I didn't even know Deputy Judy had a son, you know? Like, I mean, she didn't need to mention it in Scream 4, but you would just think we would get, like, more of her character, like, oh, she's a mom, too. Like, that's cool. And Wes decides to give Sam a call and tell her that Tara was attacked by somebody in a ghost face mask. You know Sam knows something instantly because it's just like...
Miss Jackson.
There's something off about mentioning the Ghostface mask and her, like, and it's just kind of like, okay, why would she be weary of Ghostface? Like, what does she have to do with it?
That's suspicious. That's weird.
Billy's daughter. So Sam Loomis decides to return to Woodsboro with her boyfriend, and then we get introduced to the teenagers, the new group of teenagers.
It's time for someone new to die.
And we don't even get a real shot of Woodsboro High. We just get like this pan down to the crew sitting at like these bench tables. And this is what I mean, like it didn't feel like Woodsboro. It just felt like they just were filming in locations. And I mean, that's fine. I wouldn't have hated if this was set in a different place. We just departed from Woodsboro. The TV show did that already with Lakewood. So, I mean, I wouldn't have hated that idea, but it just felt like, okay, we're in Woodsboro, quote unquote.
It's not Woodsboro, Sydney.
You know what I mean.
So we get introduced to Amber, who was introduced in the beginning as Tara's best friend. She's on edge because Tara got attacked. Meanwhile, Wes is also a bit on edge. Honestly, he seems like he's a hallway monitor.
I'm just doing my job. You know why you're a hallway monitor? Because you don't have any friends.
He gets called Edward Snowden by Mason Gooding's character playing Chad Meeks Martin, who's kind of like, he's introduced as like, I guess a jock, but he says not to sound like the atypical jock or whatever.
Man, I'm here because I get good hunches before every down. No, you know they're either going to run or pass.
He's a little quippy and kind of cool, but at the same time, he also has a funny thing going on with his girlfriend, Liv, who is 100% cosplaying as Liv Tyler from Empire Records. Especially at the final party scene, she's wearing like the blue sweater, the schoolgirl outfit. Like, she is definitely 100% Corey from Empire Records.
Joe, it's Rex Manning Day.
Her last name is Mackenzie. I like to think that's a reference to the Mackenzies mentioned in the first movie that are Casey Becker's neighbors a few miles down the road.
Get in the car. Drive down to the Mackenzies.
She sort of separates herself from the group at times because we also get introduced to the character Vince Schneider, who happens to be the nephew of Stu Macher.
My mom and dad are gonna be so
He's played by Kyle Gellner, who was in A Nightmare on Elm Street, the remake, and also Jennifer's Body. He played that really cute goth guy who unfortunately gets ripped to shreds. I wanted more for his character too. There are a lot of characters that they were just there. Some of their deaths, I just wanted more for them. Some of them were kind of effective, but not really. They didn't hit home like you really want a Scream movie to have. Just because the first Scream, I feel like every death in that movie had some effectiveness to it. You could even look at Henry Winkler's death as comical, but even then, still just like, out of nowhere, the principal gets stabbed. Like, what the f***? And then you see the shot of Henry Winkler's eye, and you see Ghostface just like right there. Like, that was cool. I feel like we were lacking a lot of that in this movie.
Not enough.
The kids decide to go to this tavern, and why they're at the Woodsboro Tavern and why this tavern accepts teenagers, I don't know, but whatever. There's no rules.
I mean, there are still rules, but the rules have changed.
Chad and Vince get into it because Vince is kind of talking shit to Liv, like, but flirtatiously, and it's just not cool. Chad's asserting himself and everything like that. Earlier, I also forgot to mention that we're introduced to his twin sister, Mindy, who absolutely is my favorite character. I in fact, not even just her. I love the Meeks Martin twins. Is a set. Like, they're just cool. I was rooting for them the whole time. I was scared that Chad was going to officially be done for at the party. And it was cool to see another brother survive in the Scream films after getting attacked, I'll say.
Excuse us, Sarah. Makeup test.
Because Dwayne Martin, he survived Scream too, but that's just because he was not trying to stay for the bullshit.
Joel, I need you.
No, you need to have your head examined.
But Mindy, she's like the female Randy of the group. She's the one who is horror savvy.
What's that werewolf movie with E.T.'s mom in it?
The Howling, horror, straight ahead.
It's kind of nice to think that Randy and his niece would have had like a really tight relationship just through horror movies.
I'll be right back.
He's dead.
She just kind of completes this group because I kind of compared it to the Rugrats in a sense, because the thing about these teenagers is they were all babysit by Sam Loomis. So Sam Loomis is the Angelica, and then you've got Tommy, who is like Tara, and then you've got the Meeks Martin twins, who are like Phil and Lil, and then you have Chucky, who's like Wes, who's very, protective and scared all the time. There's this weird tension between Deputy Judy and Sam Loomis. Apparently Sam Loomis was just a troubled teenager. She got into a lot of drugs.
I've decided I love drugs.
Which I get, everybody goes through that phase, but apparently she took it up a notch, especially after she found out who her real dad was. Because she later explains to Tara when she's in the hospital that my dad is Billy Loomis. He's the one that started the whole Woodsboro murders and the whole franchise of Stab, essentially. And she flipped out and left town when she found out. And Tara, she's not mad that her sister's real dad is a murderer. She's just mad that, like, dude, you left me here. You left me here with a drunk mom, and dad left.
What was the reason? What was the reason?
They kind of have this, like, I compare Tara and Sam's relationship to Kelly Taylor and Aaron Silver's relationship, if you get the 90210 reference. When she's introduced in the first season of 90210, she's living with the alcoholic mom.
Mom, I think you should call your sponsor.
Oh, well, thanks for the advice, little Miss AA.
That's where I compare their relationship. They have a fun... There's this part where they're having, like, a deep conversation, and it's like a cute sisterly moment. But the thing is, then Melissa Barrera Sam Loomis looks at Tara, and she's just like, "You're so high right now." And she's like, "I am."
Shout out to the homie Boonk. Oh my.
So that was cute, but there wasn't too many more of those like fun sisterly moments, because Sam at this point is on high red alert. She gets a call from the killer in the hospital.
Hello, Samantha.
Who is this?
Someone who knows your little secret.
And she's just instantly like, "Okay, you want to with me, then come and get me. He's in the break room and just attacks her, and there's this whole sequence of her going through the Ghostface. I didn't like, well, okay, I get it. Sydney was scared too, but I just felt like Sam Loomis was extra. She was extra like there's somebody in the break room.
The bitch cry every day.
Meanwhile, Sydney is just like rightfully just like, ugh. With that sour look on her face, just like, I can't believe me. Sam was just, sometimes she had some moments where I was just like, girl, shut up.
You're in people's face and you're blah, 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 but then you're crying on this side, and so it's like, who are you gonna be?
You can't be like, come get me, mother, and then just be like, This movie kind of did what Stab 7 was in Scream 4. It basically, apparently Stab 7 with Anna Paquin from True Blood and Kristen Bell from House of Lies and this new show, The Girl Across the Street at the grocery store around the corner who something.
Whatever that means.
That movie, Stab 7, is supposed to be like, okay, the beginning, we don't even need a reveal, we just know this chick is the killer.
Did that surprise you?
I feel like that's what this movie was. It was literally Amber the entire time. Like, every 5 minutes, Amber.
I'm Amber. This is so much.
I didn't see Amber being, like, the type of chick who dies at the party or something like that, even though we get that kind of reference when she goes into the basement and it's like a Tatum thing. I just, because Amber was the only one who wasn't truly defined as a character. Everybody, like, you get where they're at, but Amber, she didn't really have much going on.
I'm not the killer! I know.
So I mean, no offense to the actors, they're having a great time. They're playing the roles well. I just felt like, okay, the way it's revealed and everything, I didn't love it. We get, after the confrontation between Chad and Vince, that there's some shit going on, but they're all told to leave. Vince is pissing in the back, and all of a sudden his car is turned on, flashes the high beams, and we hear Red Right Hand from Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, and that was a great time. Vince goes and peeks his head in, turns the car off. Ghostface is right there and just like straight up shanks him in the neck, but he doesn't stab him. I felt like it would have been more of a Scream thing to stab him. I was surprised he just got a one and quick shank. It reminded me of that scene in Breaking Bad, because I don't even watch this show. I just saw this clip on YouTube where I guess Bryan Cranston's character makes a call, and then we just get like a sequence of a bunch of people just in jail getting shanked or murdered. One guy is like doused in gasoline and set on fire in his cell. It was really intense. I felt like that's what a lot of these deaths were. A lot of them weren't even stabs, they were shankings. Vince gets shanked in the neck, it's very bloody, and then Ghostface is standing in the high beams, and then he cleans off the knife. And that's all we see of Vince. Vince really wasn't a character. The fact that he's even mentioned as Stu Macher's nephew, I was hoping for more from him. We get nothing.
What's cooking in there? Nothing.
Then we get that in order for them to successfully get down to who is Ghostface in this movie, that Sam Loomis and her boyfriend Richie have to go talk to Dewey Riley.
That's Deputy Riley today, Sid.
So they go to Dewey's house. He's living in a trailer. Him and Gail are not together, which is kind of a bummer, but it's also like art imitating life. We get that Gail is on a new morning show called Good Morning. She's living in New York City. Apparently the backstory is her and Dewey, they moved to New York City so Gail could have a shot at, you know, doing what she loves. And Dewey just left in the middle of the night. He just couldn't hang, which is surprising because you wouldn't think that Dewey would be the one to have ended things. You would have thought like Gail would be the type to just be like, oh, and I can't be with you anymore, or, you know, just run off.
It didn't work, Dewey. We tried. We're different.
He used to say that was our strength.
And so he ended it and moved back to Woodsboro because that's truly where his heart is. Meanwhile, Gail, she can do without Woodsboro because Woodsboro is not her cup of tea. It's small town and she's big city.
1 year in Woodsboro is like 7 anywhere else.
Sam and Richie decide to talk to Dewey about what they need to do to survive. And of course, Dewey is giving them all the rules.
There are certain rules that one must abide by in order to successfully survive a horror movie.
There's certain rules to surviving.
And he even tells Sam, check the boyfriend. How long have you known him? Oh, Dewey is so smart. Like, because even Jack Quaid's character says, during the big kitchen reveal where they, of course, reveal that they're the killers, he says, even Dewey knew, like, check the boyfriend. And I was thinking, like, no, it's a little cliche. Like, I don't think they're going to do that with this one. But, like, yeah, Jack Quaid was one of the killers. And he even says to Sam, like, it's a bummer. It's me. I just thought, like, yeah, Deputy Judy's son, maybe because Deputy Judy went to school with Sydney, maybe, there's going to be something there.
We were in Peter Pan together. I played a lost boy. You were Tiger Lily.
Nah, because we get damn double homicide, Deputy Judy and Wes get murdered. I wasn't expecting Deputy Judy to die. I didn't think that it was necessary, per se. I don't hate that she died now that it's over, but okay. Like, it just seemed like random. Deputy Judy is driving, and she goes off for sushi to get for her and Wes. Wes is taking a shower because Dylan Minette's, I guess, like, I don't know if do we even have teen idols anymore? I don't feel like we have teen idols. We just have TikTokers, and I don't think that counts.
I am a household name, brother.
But we do get kind of like this teen idol vibe, I guess, from Dylan Minette, just because with the show 13 Reasons Why. So we get kind of like this long sequence of him, like, getting undressed and getting in the shower, and we have to do like the, oh, he's hot, so let's show his abs. And he even makes a reference to Psycho, and we get a shot of the shower, the infamous shower head scene, which they also did in Scream 2 when they were doing Stab, and of course Casey Becker has to shower. That's probably why I just felt like Dylan Minette's shower scene was unnecessary, because I guess I had a Jada Pinkett Smith moment where I was just like, why has he got to be butt-ass naked?
What does that have to do with the plot of the story, her being butt-ass naked?
If someone had a stiff one in the theater, good for you.
You better loosen up that wrist.
Deputy Judy gets home, but before she can even get to her doorknob, Ghostface pops out and stabs her, but then he's not just stabbing her, he shanks her in front of her house in broad daylight, and this just tripped me out. Wes is walking all over his house. It's very suspenseful. What I thought would have been a cool idea is doing a Friday the 13th Part 2 reference, because we've never actually gotten a severed head in the Scream franchise at all. So I actually thought it would have been cool to have this, like, sequence of Wes goes to check the fridge and it says lemon bars in the fridge, because that's what Deputy Judy does. She makes lemon bars.
You're not cheating on your wife if you eat my lemon square.
But instead, it's her head. Like, that would have been so cool. And then, like, Ghostface just, like, stabs Wes in the head. That would have been fun. But that option was not taken. Instead, Wes goes to the front door because he hears it's been opened. Ghostface is already inside. He closes the door, turns around. Ghostface has the knife to his neck. And Wes is, of course, trying to reach for his taser at the side table. He can't get it, and Ghostface just slowly presses the knife through and out the back of his neck. And Wes is gone. I was very surprised. I thought he really would be the killer. I expected more from him. I was expecting him to sort of be the Randy. So it was just very surprising, like, okay, this kid's gone. And his death, they have a party as like a vigil type thing, kind of similar to Scream, the TV series, and what they did for Nina.
It's a prayer vigil. People in mourning get thirsty.
But at the same time, there's still not enough weight given to Wes's death, especially when they mentioned, like, oh, he was sweet on Tara. I thought that would have been a cute thing if Tara had a moment like, I really liked him too, you know, like, or something, like, we were just, you know, we never said anything, but we liked each other, you know. But apparently it's referenced, I guess, in the beginning that she's just not into him.
No, I don't want to date no friend.
I just feel like Deputy Judy and her son deserve better, but somebody's gotta die, but we get 7 deaths.
I mean, for f***'s sake, my own mother had to die. No great loss there, so I could stay true to the original.
After Deputy Judy and Wes are murdered, Sam shows up to the crime scene and we get Gail out of nowhere. Gail is looking hot, she's looking fabulous.
Power bitch moves.
Dewey, after he told Sam Loomis and her boyfriend what was going on, he texts Gail, and it's kind of cute. Like, it was very funny. It got a big laugh in theaters just because he thinks too hard about it, and he just texts her like, the murders are starting, don't come here. And then he kind of does like by the way, you look great. And then he's like, oh shit, I shouldn't have sent that. It was very Dewey. And I love that there was also the fact that we see Dewey kept Tatum's ashes. That was very sweet. We also get a reference to Randy. His sister Martha has a memorial in her house because the Meeks Martin twins are Martha's kids. She has a memorial in her house of Randy and like his graduation photo, and it's really cute. And then of course they have all the stabs on the mantle because I guess it's just not. I guess for them, they must have looked at Randy as a hero, which I kind of get, even though he didn't make it all the way. He was still kind of there in spirit, even in Scream 3, so.
Because the rules say some of you ain't gonna make it. I didn't. Not if you're watching this tape.
Gail comes up to Dewey at the murder scene. It was almost like revisiting Scream 2 again because they have this sequence and there's the shot where Gail and Dewey are following each other, and it was very similar to the Nice Streaks scene where they have this moment of like they know each other, you know, they know each other's emotions, they know how they feel, so the chemistry is still there, and it's very Dewey and Gail. So we get a sequence of all the electricity goes off in the hospital while Tara's there. She's got a boot, and so she can't walk. She's kind of got like a Halloween 2 situation going on. Richie shows up, and then all of a sudden Ghostface attacks, and Richie is knocked out. Tara's trying to get away in her wheelchair slowly. Ghostface, of course, is on the phone with Sam talking shit, and he's like, you have to choose between your boyfriend or your sister. Ultimately, Sam Loomis is just stalling for time because she's in the elevator with Dewey and straight up pulls a, yeah, motherfucker, I'm already here. And they start shooting at Ghostface. Dewey shoots Ghostface into a glass case full of teddy bears and shit like that. When he goes to retrieve Richie, he tells all 3 of them to get on the elevator, and then he goes back, he's like, you gotta aim for the head, because, you know, Scream 3, you gotta shoot for the head.
Head! Shoot him in the head!
Unfortunately, when we see that Ghostface's position has changed, we know Ghostface is awake. Dewey's about to shoot Ghostface, but then, like, I don't know, drops a bullet, and Ghostface stabs Dewey, and then this is where we get disrespectful. Stabs him, and then slices the blade up his stomach. At first I thought we were gonna get like straight up organs on the floor and just like totally just shit on Dewey Riley and just be like, no, let's just hack him up. But no, we just get enough blood, and then we get the, it's an honor.
It's an honor.
Of course, you know, by then Dewey's dead. We don't get enough weight in my mind. Gail running up in slow motion was not enough for me. She sinks in Sam and Richie's arms, but even then, when we see Sam, she's kind of like unemotional about it. Like, she doesn't have like a sense of sorrow for Dewey, which I get she doesn't know him, and he was kind of sour to her and her boyfriend. I just felt like, show some respect. He just died. He went back for you, and he died. And Sam is just kind of like, with this brooding, you know... Okay.
Respect, respeto is the issue.
But then we get Sidney Prescott showing up at the hospital. She shows up, but the thing is, Sidney is already introduced beforehand because Dewey didn't just text Gail, he called Sidney. Sidney is introduced. She is pushing a stroller, and I was so excited. She has got 2 kids, presuming 2 girls, and she is with Detective Mark Kincaid. Sidney doesn't need to be Sidney Kincaid. She's always going to be Sidney Prescott, so I'm glad they didn't do that, because that would have just been like, oh, okay, like, shut up. Sidney, she gets a warning from Dewey that the murders are starting, and that's when we get the trailer line, "I'm Sidney Prescott, of course."
Of course I have a gun.
Sidney shows up anyway, because Sidney, she has to help. That's what she does. And with the death of Dewey, of course, she's going to be there to comfort Gale. They both loved him. So there's a little bit of weight given to Dewey's death, but not enough, in my opinion. And then Sidney tries to talk to Sam, and she tells her,
I've been through this a lot.
And Sam is just kind of like, girl, bye.
Who is she?
Sam gives no time. This is what pissed me off. Sam is so disrespectful to the original three, I feel like.
Because you are a mean girl. You're a bitch.
She just kind of had this like, whatever. So what? You had a franchise made about these murders. You can't help me. But the thing is, it's like, no, they can. She even says, like, would you like to talk? And she's just like, no, I'm getting my sister out of here, and I'm gonna be fine. And of course, Sydney's just like, okay, girl, good luck. This happened to me 4 times. I don't know who the you think you are. But of course, Sam is just, she's set in her ways. Sydney even says, yeah, she seems really tough.
You want me to help you and the host of a morning show commit murder, correct?
Yeah.
But they're still adamant about helping her, I guess, in any way she can, but it's still just kind of like, good luck. Sam thinks she can just leave Woodsboro and it's going to be over. It doesn't work that way.
Are you dumb?
But the thing is, they can't leave Woodsboro because Tara has asthma. And this is something we noticed in the beginning. Tara was puffing on an inhaler. So whenever there's a little character thing like that, we have to pay attention when it's mentioned. Sometimes it pans out, sometimes it doesn't, but they stuck with the inhaler thing. So I guess that was clever, I guess, but it seems like a lame way to get them to the party, because there is a party happening. Of course there's a party, because what happens when there's a killer on the loose and your friends are dying? You party. Chad's there, Mindy's there, Amber's there. Apparently she's just running the show and it's her party, because they even say sick house, Freeman. And of course we already know it's the Mocker house, but it's later like officially stated, like, you're in Stu Mocker's house. And there's this pan shot of Melissa Barrera when she finally makes it to the party. Chad and Liv sneak off. Apparently they have a thing about sex that they're not having, and that's like their thing. It's not even fully stated if Chad is a virgin. I kind of think it would be a funny thing if he was, and that's why he survived. Like, you know, he's too, I guess, afraid to go there, or like there's some, you know, some performance thing there that he's afraid of.
Cleaner, who that pizza biscuit remind you of?
But him and Liv, they have a sex issue. Liv gets pissed and she runs away. And like I said, this is when we really get it. I'm glad I saw this movie twice in theaters. She's genuinely Liv Tyler.
I'm bringing Rex's lunch!
I'm sure they've probably confirmed by now that, yeah, it's an Empire Records thing. So we're at Amber's house. She lives in Stu Mocker's house. It's her party. We get by now Amber's the killer. She's running the show.
I am the queen instigator, and I am running this house.
Cloned cell phone. The killer's threatening Amber. It's all about Amber. Nobody is really saying it's Amber, but we know it's Amber. There's even a basement thing between her and Mindy, which I honestly was kind of confused, because I was thinking that if Liv is Chad's girlfriend, then Amber and Mindy are a thing, but they're not. I thought they were even going to hook up in the basement, but no.
You know what else you shouldn't do when there's a masked killer around?
What?
Kiss! Kiss on the mouth!
Mindy just does the whole, oh, you should never go into the basement alone, and...
How do you know I'm not the killer? Because I am. I'm not actually, but let that be a lesson. Don't trust anyone.
Oh, you could be the killer. Oh, but could I? Whatever. So we get back to the party. Chad has snuck off. He's looking for Liv, and the thing is, they also mention that she doesn't want to be tracked by him. He uses the Find My Fam app to track her phone. The thing is, it says that she's right next to him. It's Ghostface. Ghostface is always right next to you.
It says I'm not outside. I'm right beside you.
Ghostface pops up, stabs Chad in the leg. We actually get a good shot of Mason Gooding. His face acting is great in this scene because he literally looks down at the wound and you see it's bleeding, but then we get a shot of his face and he's actually like, oh my god, like this is real and I've got to prepare myself to move because the Find My Fam is tracking him as well. And so he tosses his phone, which is very smart, but he runs away and Ghostface pops out of the tool shed and just stabs him and shanks him, but we don't see him die. And that's when I was thinking, oh, Chad's gonna pop up again and maybe do something cool or like save the day. Nah, we see him in an ambulance at the end. I would have liked to have seen Chad show up and do something. Or maybe not have Mindy down for the count in the final reveal. So we get, after Chad's been stabbed, that they're in Stu Macher's house. And Sydney, she finds it very contrived herself because when she and Gail make it to the house, and by then it's revealed that Amber and Richie are the killers. Amber steps outside, her dumbass, steps outside and does this like, oh my god, I'm bleeding, I'm stabbed, I can't. And Sydney and Gail both look at each other like, do you even believe this bitch?
I mean, Jesus, you guys aren't even trying anymore, are you?
And of course Amber's like, fuck it, and just shoots them. When it's revealed that Amber is the killer, it was also just very like abrupt and out of nowhere, because you know it's her at this point. But after Mindy is attacked, there's this whole Spider-Man pointing fingers at everyone. Like, just imagine that meme, like, no, you're the killer, you're the killer, you're the killer.
What if you is the killer?
Liv apparently found Chad and her hands are covered in blood and everyone's just like, oh my god, Liv is the killer, Liv has to be the killer. And she's like, F you, Amber, I'm not the killer. Amber, of course, just pulls a straight up Samuel L. Jackson. She's like, I know.
And you will know my name is the Lord when I lay my vengeance upon thee.
And straight up just shoots Liv in the face. And that's all we get of her. I was expecting more for Liv, just death-wise, because she's like supposed to be the hot girl, but no, Liv just gets a bullet. And then Amber just says, welcome to Act 3. So then after that, it's revealed that Richie is the killer because when Sydney goes to the house, she's shooting through every door. Smart.
I've seen this movie before.
And she shoots into the door that is a closet where Richie is hiding. Richie gets shot in the leg, and then Ghostface comes out of nowhere, and it was cheesy, but it was kind of funny. Like, he just says, holy shit, it's Ghostface. Like, it's just like, do we have to say Ghostface and Scream? I mean, we'll sometimes say it, but like, I just feel like, no. But Ghostface and Sydney fall over the banister and to the floor. So we get by now that Amber has been Ghostface this entire time. Amber has taken some shit, man. Like, Amber's a tough cookie.
Oh, you're a real tough cookie with a long history.
She's fallen off things, getting shot. Granted, yeah, she has a bulletproof vest and everything, but like, this 17-year-old something is just taking hit after hit. She gets hit in the face by Tara with her crutches. Like, Amber just got fucked up. Amber, when they go to the kitchen and reveal, the whole reason why they're the killers, which is literally the same thing as Scream 4, like, they did it for the fans, and it was always it was very fan service. I hated it.
What world are you living in? I don't need friends. I need fans.
People want to sit here and criticize Scream 4 and say Emma Roberts' motive is stupid. Emma Roberts kind of made that a bit cool. This one was just like the fans and the true fans and it's just like, no, why is this happening? Like, don't do it. Even watching it a second time, there was no motive other than we're fans and we're trying to... It seemed like they muddled all the motives from the past movies together. Like, we got like a Roman thing, like, what about my movie?
Step 3, right?
It just didn't all come together like I wanted. There's still some unanswered questions about Sam's family and everything else, like, it just didn't feel complete. I would have had more respect if they just said they did it for the lulz, like Assassination Nation.
For the lulz.
I did it for the live, I did it for the gram.
Do it for the Vaughn. I'ma do it.
Because that's how it came off. It was just so, there was no thought behind it. I would have expected, like, oh, I'm related to Billy Loomis too. I don't know, something, but it just wasn't divulged enough for me. Amber, she's so annoying at this point. I do like the part where she's in Sydney's face, though, holding the knife, and she goes, ee, ee, ee. Like, she was having fun. Amber is a pain in the ass. She's sitting there talking shit every 5 minutes during this fight sequence. She gets hit in the face with hand sanitizer. She gets thrown across the counter by Gail and Sydney. And she keeps doing this weird, like, Drew Barrymore and Charlie's Angels, like,
Wait. I got something to tell you.
but then she'll talk shit because she says Dewey died like a and then she's covered in hand sanitizer and it's all chunky. It looks like that stuff that they put on you. I believe they did this in Final Destination 3 because I remember the behind the scenes when they did the tanning bed deaths, and I believe the actresses Shalane Simmons and Crystal Lowe, they had, it was either them or their stunt doubles had to be covered in this type of goop where you can only be lit on fire for a max of 30 seconds. Otherwise, you know, you will get burnt.
Oh my God.
Then that doesn't hurt her? No. Listen, she goes hot.
And you have to be extinguished. I feel like that's what that was, and I could tell. And then, of course, she gets shot multiple times. The thing is, Amber gets shot multiple times. How do you survive that? 4 bullets to the chest. You should be choking on your own blood by then. But not only that. After Gail shoots her, she falls into the stove and lights on fire. By then, you're dead. But somehow they keep coming back rule had to apply to this, and it made no sense. Because after 4 bullets and severe 3rd-degree burns, you're not going to pop up like... Jenna Ortega rightfully shoots this chick in the face. She shoots her in the head. And, you know, Jenna Ortega has this, like, funny line, like, I still like the Babadook. That's where it kind of ends. Like, it just kind of happens. And it was very Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like, this whole sequence of terrible events happens, and there's just it didn't feel like there was much to the ending. Sam asks Sydney and Gail, am I going to be okay? And Sydney's like, eventually you will be. Yeah, okay. I feel like this one is overhyped. I feel like this one is definitely overhyped. I feel like everybody wanted to hope that this was going to be something that was just going to blow everybody's minds, but I'm not blown away. It wasn't anything that was going against the grain or new. I was expecting more, especially just from the fact that we're getting a new final girl. Well, 2 new final girls. We're getting a new story, a new family. I would have just hoped for more, but the other thing I hated, well, I don't hate this. Skeet Ulrich came back. Skeet Ulrich came back, and he's playing Billy Loomis, but he's playing a de-aged ghost version of Billy Loomis. I don't love it. And the thing is, people talked shit about Scream 3 because a lot of people thought that Sydney's mother coming up in, like, dream sequences was really cheesy. Those scared the shit out of me because, like, the last thing you want to be having nightmares about is your mother who was murdered coming up to your window talking about you're poison and you're just like me. This was kind of like Billy was popping up like her guardian angel, you know, and he would, like, appear in mirrors or rearview mirrors. He just appeared in mirrors. And it was always just like, it's almost like, I don't know if he's egging her on to be a serious, like, that would have been interesting. I don't know if I would have did that. I don't know if I would have had Billy Loomis popping out, like, especially because it's de-aged Billy Loomis. I just... Skeet could have said no.
No, thank you. No, thank you. No, thank you.
It's kind of like how I feel about Matthew Lillard in He's All That. Like, Matthew Lillard should have said no. Like, Matthew can say no. I hope he hears, like, and realizes this, like, because Matthew, it's funny how our generation has gotten older and realized how much of a gem Matthew Lillard is.
Oh.
As I've mentioned Amber's death, I didn't even mention Richie's, because Richie gets stabbed after he stabs Sam and reveals it's him. And, you know, he says to Sam, "It's a bummer, it's me." Sam, like, reaches for the knife in this whole showdown with Richie, and Sydney is just, I guess, watching, or she's partially knocked out. And Sam is reaching for the knife, but she sees Billy in the mirror, and he kind of gives her like a atta girl kind of look, like, yeah, get the knife, do what your daddy taught you. Yeah, and it's just like, like, why is he in the mirror? Like, we did sort of do the Scream 3 thing and do like the visions of the mother, visions of the father, but this time it didn't hit. I feel like it hits in the TV series, it hits in Scream 3, it didn't hit here. It didn't hit the way they wanted it to. It didn't have enough flavor, in my opinion.
Need a little more spice in my cooking.
I just hope that their family is explored more. Like I said, it'd be great to see Maricel Nichols as the mom. I really like seeing her in Spiral, so I just feel like if she's going to be popping up in a few of these horror roles every now and then, I feel like Scream would be another one to revisit, especially because she plays the mom on Riverdale. She plays Veronica Lodge's mom. And it's funny because Skeet Ulrich also plays Jughead's dad, and I think it'd be really funny to just, you know, have those Scream actors kind of return to the franchise. Overall, I would really give this movie, I would say, because it's like Scream 3 to me, I'm going to give it 3 slashes out of 5. I hope it would do more. It's a good sequel. It's good for what they're trying to do. Wes is no longer here. May he rest in peace. So it's not going to be 100% the same, but they were doing it as a tribute to him. I appreciate it for what it is, but it's not the best Scream. The best Scream, in my opinion, is Scream 2. It introduces Stab. Stab is what pushes the franchise along. Without Scream 2, Scream wouldn't be what it is. You know, Scream was iconic by itself, but Scream would have never had sequels. Scream would have never been more iconic than it is. We wouldn't have fans like that. We wouldn't have the fandom. It wouldn't be the same if it was just one Scream back in 96 and that was it. Like, Scream 2 really said, like, we're going to be making more of these, and it was the sequel that basically said, we're a sequel that's going to say sequels suck, but we're going to be the sequel that's badass and doesn't suck at all.
By definition alone, they're inferior films.
It's bullshit generalization. Many sequels have surpassed their original.
Oh, yeah?
Name one.
So, those are my thoughts. And I will be sharing more of those because I hope to be doing this for a long time and on a regular basis. I'd like to maybe look into putting out a podcast every week, twice a week. So this season is going to be basic slice and dice. So I'm going to be covering slashers, and some unconventional slashers, some slashers that maybe you've heard of, maybe you've seen, some that are older, and some that just had an impact on me. So I'm really excited for that. I thank you for tuning into the Slasha Brotha Podcast. Once again, I'm your host, Richard Cunningham, and until it's time to slay another day, I will see you guys later. I also forgot to include that if you would like to follow me on social media, you can follow me on Instagram at Martian Prince Jr. And also you can take a look at my art page, Richard's Killer Hand. And I will be starting a Slasha Brotha Podcast Instagram as well. And also, if you have any questions, comments, you can email me at slashabrotha@gmail.com. Once again, thank you for listening.